So you remember the famous Trump Tower meeting? That's where Donald Trump Jr., Manafort, who's the campaign manager for Trump at that time, and Kushner all go and meet with a Russian lawyer. They were told in emails, especially Donald Trump Jr., ahead of time, this is a lawyer connected to the Russian government and they have dirt on Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump Jr. responded, love it. They take the meeting thinking they might be getting some help from a foreign government, which is illegal, but apparently they loved it. So they all go to the meeting. Now, as it turns out, we believe that the Russians did not give them the information in that meeting. They walk out frustrated, but it was their intent. Now, whether that's illegal or not, because they did not receive the information, that can be sorted out later by an investigation. But what do the Trump people do because they can't help themselves? When confronted with this meeting, they immediately lie. And they go, oh, no, that meeting was about adoption. It was about adoption. About the Russians helping us with Hillary Clinton? No way, no, just about adoption. Of course, that turns out to be completely not true. The reason why the adoption is part of this at all is because the things that the Russians wanted in return for giving them dirt on Hillary Clinton was to lift the sanctions on Russian oligarchs, who are all allies of Vladimir Putin. And because we put those sanctions on, the Russians turned around and said, oh yeah, we're not gonna let you adopt Russian babies anymore. That'll show you. That's why you hear the talk of adoption. It doesn't have anything to do with anything else. It really has everything to do with the sanctions that we put on Russia that Russia wanted lifted in return for helping Donald Trump. So that's why they don't want it coming out. Now here's the problem, among many others. So the meeting itself is a problem. Then the secondary problem is how the Trump team responds. The Trump team responds by saying, okay, that was just about adoption. And okay, who wrote that letter? Don Trump Jr. wrote that response. You sure? Because it seemed like it was crafted by Donald Trump himself, the president, on Air Force One, according to all the reports. Nope, it was just his son. In fact, back then, the attorney for the president, Jay Sekulow, said that was written, no, that was written by Donald Trump Jr., and I'm sure with consultation with his lawyer, that wasn't written by the president. They were very clear about that. In fact, here's another quote from Sekulow. The president did not draft a response. The response came from Donald Trump Jr., and I'm sure in consultation with his lawyer. Let me say this, but I do want to be clear that the president was not involved in the drafting of the statement and did not issue the statement. It came from Donald Trump Jr. Oops. Now, they're going to walk that back in a second, but hold before we get to that. Then there was an answer in the middle from Sarah Huckabee Sanders. So Sarah Huckabee Sanders asked about this last year, said this.
According to the Washington Post, the president tried to change the narrative of what went down in John Jr.'s meeting with the Russian lawyer. Can you address that story and tell us, did the president really try to do that?
Look, the statement that Don Jr. issued is true. There's no inaccuracy in the statement. The president weighed in as any father would based on the limited information that he had. This is all discussion, frankly, of no consequence.
Can you clarify the degree to which the president weighed in?
He certainly didn't dictate, but he, like I said, he weighed in, offered suggestion like any father would do.
So there, Sarah Huckabee says, well, that whole not writing it, he might have weighed in, okay? But he definitely did not dictate it. Well, funny that you say that, because now we find out that in January, the Trump lawyers wrote to Special Counsel Robert Mueller saying this, and this is the same Jay Sekulow and John Dowd, who's no longer with the Trump legal team, but was back in January. They wrote this, quote, the president dictated a short but accurate response on behalf of his son. Oops. I guess that would be the first way that he's a dictator. So it turns out, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, you were not telling the truth. Neither was Sekulow. Clearly you said he didn't dictate it, and clearly now the Trump legal team, not fake news, not the New York Times, not Washington Post, the Trump legal team says, oh yeah, yep, he dictated the letter. It was his letter. It was the president's letter. So they're going to ask Sarah Huckabee Sanders about that today. Let's see what her response is.
You said last August that the president did not dictate the statement about the Trump Tower meeting during the campaign, but the lawyers wrote to the special counsel that the president did dictate that statement. What's the reason for that discrepancy?
Like you said, this is from a letter from the outside counsel, and I directed them to answer that question. Deborah.
Information?
Once again, you're referencing a letter that came directly from outside counsel, and I would refer you to them to answer that question.
Yeah, outside counsel wrote that letter, but you're the one who said he didn't dictate it, and now they're saying he did dictate the letter. So that's kind of on you, isn't it? In fact, they asked her again, this time the Washington Post.
If you're saying the one thing from the podium, that it wasn't dictated by the president, and his lawyers are saying something entirely different, contradicting you, how are we supposed to know what to believe? How can we believe what you're saying from the podium if his lawyers are saying it's entirely inaccurate?
Once again, I can't comment on a letter from the president's outside counsel. I direct you to them to answer it. John?
But Sarah, the words are literally, you said he did not dictate. The lawyers said he did. What is it?
I'm not going to respond to a letter from the president's outside counsel. We've purposely walled off, and I would refer you to them for comment. John?
So, in fact, you did say it, and now you don't want to answer it because you're embarrassed because it was yet another lie that you had. By the way, one of the reporters there was Jordan Fabian from The Hill, not Washington Post. Wanted to clarify that. Okay, now, we actually haven't gotten to my favorite video. So you now clearly see with your own eyes that Sarah Huckabee Sanders lied about it, the president's lawyer initially lied about it. And by the way, to be fair to them, why do they lie? Because Trump tells them to. Trump goes, oh, I got this. We're just going to deny it. We're going to strongly deny it, okay? And then later, they're like, okay, yeah, but Mr. President, now we have to write a letter to the special counsel, and that's really serious. If we lie there, we could be in a lot of legal trouble. So, and they have witnesses saying you wrote the letter. Okay. We strongly accept it. I dictated the letter, no problem, okay? Now go tell them to do the other lie, or okay? And he puts them in these impossible positions. So how is Rudy Giuliani, his new lawyer, going to get out of this? You're gonna love this quote, watch.
I mean, this is the reason you don't let the president testify. If, you know, our recollection keeps changing, or we're not even asked a question, and somebody makes an assumption. In my case, I made an assumption. Then we corrected it, and I got it right out as soon as it happened.
Well, our recollection keeps changing. Oh, is that how it works? So I love that because, wait a minute, wouldn't your recollection be way better when you first dictated the letter? Oh yeah, it would, right? Except that's when you lied about it. And then you did your middle of the road lie when your recollection again would have been better because it was closer to the event. Now, once you find out, oh, they have proof that you wrote the letter, well, you know, it's not that we're lying, it's that our recollection keeps changing. Even if you're a Trump voter, you can't see that lie. You see it clear as day. Gee, I wonder why they're lying about all this. I wonder if they actually were trying to collude with the Russians. Two easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.